Hey everybody, thanks for joining me out in the garden on Outside with Jeff. Today it's a very hot Sunday afternoon, I believe it's June 27th, and we're getting ready to prepare this bed along the perimeter fence. This formerly had sugar snap peas, and we're going to be planting some green beans here shortly. I like to not only succession crop things, which means planting the same thing a few weeks apart to prolong the harvest, but I also like to double crop things, which means once one crop is finished, immediately getting something else planted in its place to utilize your entire growing season. So these snap peas are done. I harvested some to save the seeds. I saved about 40 pods worth, and that'll be plenty of seed to add along with what I had left over from last year. But let's get right into this. What we're going to do is I'm going to be using this long-handed cultivator tool to just come through the area that was previously planted, and I'm just working it up. All those weeds that were growing along, it's going to just drag them to the end, and then once we get them all to the end, I'll be putting them in the compost pile so that they can get broken down and turn into good compost that we can later add to the other garden plots in the yard here. So we'll just get right to it, make quick work of this. Now that we've got that all cultivated, I'm going to grab a hard rake it surface smooth, and then we'll make a little furrow, and we'll get our seed planted. Be right back. Right back in a YouTube second. I'm going to get this raked off flat and then make that furrow. Those chickens and ducks doing good that you put on the farm?
Yeah, they're already, the ducks are about full grown already.
Oh, nice.
They grow pretty quick.
Now we've got that furrow made. See, we've got some Kentucky Wonder seed. Got this left over from Lowe's, and this I got from Hoss Tools. So we're just gonna plant them together and see what happens. If you look on the back, the one from Lowe's says plant the seeds 8 inches apart, which is pretty ridiculous in my opinion. This one here recommends 3 to 4 inches apart, and we're gonna go to about 3 inches. So let's go.
I only had enough seed to plant about 5 foot of this Fairy Morris brand, so we'll be able to see how that seed performs. The rest of the row will be this Hoss Tools. All right, we got all these planted. That's going to give us about a 16-foot row. Those chain link fences, about 8 foot in between them, and I did two poles. So it says ready in 55 days. We'll see. These should get up and going pretty quick. It's June 27th, so right there in the heat of summer. And after they get growing, when it's super hot, they might stop flowering, but as soon as it starts cooling down again in the fall, they'll fire right up. So these will be, if everything goes as planned and they grow up and everything, this will be something that'll be in the garden until frost kicks in. Now I'm just gonna get those seeds covered up. About an inch and a half is what they recommend between the 2 seed packets. We can get them covered up and watered in. This is our biggest perennial weed we have to deal with, morning glory. I pull it out every chance I can get. Only thing left to do now is to get them watered in really good. We'll grab the hose.
Well, it looks like I lost some of the footage. It shut off for heat safety reasons as I was raking the seed over. So what I did is after I finished, last time you see me, I was down there with the rake. Once I completed that, I got my hose and I just went through and I really soaked this down. It's gonna be really important to keep the seed bed moist while these seeds germinate. It's gonna take anywhere from 4 to 7 days. I'll be out here at least once to twice a day, morning and evening, watering it to keep the soil bed moist for those seeds to have successful germination. We're in the midst of a drought right now. We haven't really had any measurable rain for the last 4 weeks. Hopefully that changes this week. We have about a 40% chance of rain every day over the next 6 to 7 days, so we could definitely use some rain. But until then, I'm gonna keep the seed bed really wet, get those seeds popped up. Once they're a few inches tall, I'll assess if there's any gaps in the row. I'll come back with the additional seed and plop them in there. Both of these seed packets said they had between an 85 and 87% germination rate, so most of the seeds should come up. I believe I planted about 65 or 70 seeds, so we might have, 10 or so that don't come up, and I can just fill those gaps later on. But yeah, Thanks for joining me in the garden. I hope you decide to plant some Kentucky Wonder pole beans this summer while you still have time to get a harvest in. Remember, even in the heat of summer, when the plants start blooming, if you keep them alive, once the temperatures start to fall in the fall time, you can get another fall harvest of your green beans. So just try to keep your plants alive, and you can really prolong your harvest up until frost. So have a great day from my garden to yours.